All right. Hey guys, first Dream Team Monday Night Zoom of February. Also February 1st. How exciting. Oh, there's a baby. I love when we get babies on our Zooms. Hi, Pumpkin Girl. So before we start on our topic for the night, let me remind you, you have all of tonight and all of tomorrow for those of you that are shooting for double and triple commission on the Fast Start promo that's out. That's the promoter packs. If you need help with that, do not hesitate to ask me or your upline. This is such a great way to boost your volume, and what a great way to kick off the month. Like, I love that they let the promo carry over by 2 days, because this is it's just a solid way to kick off the month. We have 2 whole days left. So also, those of you that have already hit it, don't stop. Like, you can keep adding to it. So if you've already gotten your triple, that's okay. You can keep selling as many of these packs as you want and keep collecting the commission on it and doing whatever it is you're doing with it. So do keep that in mind. If you missed it last night on the power planning, we laid out the month of February. So I know some months it's like the 5th day and I'm like, oh, I guess I should get ready for the month. But February, I don't feel like we have that time because it's such a short month. So if you haven't yet done that, please go back and just listen to it while you've got your calendar in front of you and try to fill things out. And then one last announcement before we move to our topic today is Miss Laura Wernsman's birthday. So happy birthday, Laura. I see you're on here. I know you're muted out and all that jazz, which is fine, but happy birthday to Laura. Okay, so tonight I'm going to share with you guys, and I didn't know if Lindsay would be on here or not, but Lindsay Dickens mailed out this journal called Let That Shit Go. Does anyone have this journal? Okay. It's hilarious and dead on. And I'm actually going to walk you through 3, hopefully we'll have time to do 3 of the exercises that are in it. And I'm kind of going out of order, but it's just because it's the way I do things, out of order, I guess. So this is why I was saying you need a pen and paper. If you don't have a pen and paper, it might be hard to like really sit and think about these things. And I want to give you like quiet time to actually sit and think about some of the topics that we're going to do. So for those of you just hopping on, we're going to go through a few. I think she got it from Amazon, Sandra. And it's not like thick or anything. It's not, let me put I don't know. Does that help? It's not thick. I will warn you now, if you have small kids, maybe don't leave it out, because it's as if I wrote it, if you know what I mean. Like, the words are just out there on the page. So if you don't want a child to ask you what the F word means, don't lay this around. But it's so cute. It's full of good quotes, and it's just full of challenges. Like, I know a journal prompt is good if I read it and I get the like, yeah, I don't really want to do that because I don't want to talk about that. And so some of these that was my initial reaction to some of these, where I was like, I don't really want to talk about that right now. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about, it's called From Gag to Giggles. Oh, no, I knew I was doing it out of order. Hang on. Okay, I lied. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is your fear of looking stupid is holding you back. That's what I want to start with. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you as is, but then I'm going to read it to you in like a Lavelle term so you understand. So this author says, and honestly, if there are kids in your room, I'll just say bleep it and you'll know what I'm saying, okay? Think of a time when one of your friends acted super effing goofy, made a scene, had a blast because they did not give a F what other people thought of them. What about that moment did you like best? What did you appreciate most about them? Keep that in mind, but now put that into your Lavelle business. So let me reword it. Think of a time that a Lavelle promoter posted something, did a live, spoke at a local, and they were super goofy, honest, and just out there because they didn't give an F what anybody thought of them. You've all seen something in your promoter time where you've been like, wow, that person just let it all out. They didn't care what anybody thought. They just told them the truth and they ran with it. What about that moment did you like the best? And what did you appreciate about them in that moment? So I want you to think about that. Think about a time another promoter either did a live, maybe they did an interview, maybe they spoke at a local, maybe they just a Facebook post, something where you were like, dang, they don't even care that they look goofy or whatever, like they were just being themselves. What did you like best about that moment? What did you appreciate about them? I like all these heads down. I can see people writing. Awesome. And now, in comparison to that, think about a time when you wanted to act that way, um, post that way, speak that way, whatever it is, but you held yourself back because you thought you would look dumb. Why did you restrain yourself? Number one. And number two, how would you have felt if you had just let go? Are you guys able to think of cases? I mean, obviously, you could think of like just a case in life, but to me, I feel like we should be. Oh, repeat that, please. So you're going to compare this with now you want to think about a time that you wanted to act similarly, speak similarly, like, maybe you were like, man, I want to go live and talk about this, or I want to, whatever, but you thought you were going to look dumb. So, number one, why did you restrain yourself? And number two, how would it have felt to just let go and do it? I mean, I know for me to let go and just do it gives me the heebie-jeebies. And you guys, this is our team only. You can unmute, you can talk, you can do whatever you want to during this. So for those of you that just hopped on, we're going through a couple of highlights from this journal, Let That Shit Go. It's the one that Lindsay mailed out or found like back at Christmas. And we're talking about thinking of a time. So I'm taking the book because it talks about just like relationships. I'm turning into promoter land, if you will. Think about a time that a fellow promoter acted super goofy, made a scene, or had a blast because they did not give an F what other people thought of them. What was the moment, or what about that moment did you like? And what about them did you appreciate? And then we're comparing that to a time that we wanted to be that way, whether it was on like a live or an interview or a post, maybe it was at a local, but we were afraid of looking dumb. So why did we restrain ourselves? And how would it have felt to let go? So you think it would be freeing? It would have felt freeing to let go, Sandra? Why? You're probably one of my goofy friends, according to this, that I think is awesome. So I could see that. So the quote down here that goes with it says, "Remember that you love your friend because they didn't hold back, not in spite of." So I want you to think about the people. We talked about this some before. Think of the promoters that you follow because you're like, they are just amazing. Or think about like the TikTok people or the Instagram people that you follow because they're just a hoot. Like they will trip and fall and they'll still put that stuff up. Like they'll still let people see that. Like you love them that much more because they allowed that to be seen, right? So the whole purpose of this is when you are putting together your Facebook Live or your interview, or you're going to do a local and speak, or maybe you're just doing your Facebook post or your Instagram post or your stories. How many times have you been like, I'm going to get on my story and I'm going to talk about something today, but then you think, no, people might think that's weird. Or you just stop yourself because you're like, I don't know, what if I mess up? The people who go ahead and do it are the ones that you follow. I can guarantee those are the people that you follow and that you find inspiring. Would you disagree with that or would you agree? Right. So I want you to think about that next time you stop because you're like, what will people think? Well, the whole purpose of this journal, Let That Shit Go, is like, don't give an F, right? Doesn't matter what people think. And when you feel that moment coming up and you're like, I don't know if I should post that, or I don't know if I go live, people might, they're gonna be like, oh, there she is again, or whatever the thoughts that go through your head, right? But what did we just confirm amongst the group? The people who just do it, even if they make a fool of themselves doing it, we love them even more for making a fool of themselves, right? Olivia's typing. I can see it. You can unmute and talk if you want.
Alyssa's yelling, but there's a couple on Amazon, and one of them says "Find Your Fucking Happy."
Oh,
I want that one too. I want all of them. I can buy all 3 together.
Is it all from that Monica Sweeney? Did she? Oh, okay, fun. Oh, good. I didn't know there were more to pick from. Okay, so that was part 1. We're going to move on to part 2. We can always come back to this. I just want to make sure we get through all the questions so that you guys have time. Like I know what, so when I first got this, I opened it up one day and I was like, oh, I'm going to start my new journal today. And the very first page, when you open it up, it's like, okay, now with brightly colored pencils and sparkly gel pens. And I was like, well, I don't have those right here, right now. So I was like, well, next page. But when I finally sat down to like start going through it, I was like, I love this book because like I said, it makes you talk to yourself about the uncomfortable things. So I'm encouraging you obviously to, yes, Samantha has this journal too. She says it's the best ever. Whenever you're looking at like a journal prompt and it makes you be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that right now, I'm going to put that away. Or it makes you like get a little blah. That's the journal prompt you need. So, here's one for all of you. Are you ready? Make sure you got your pen and paper together. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I am encouraging you to unmute and speak and put things into the chat if you feel comfortable. Some of these questions you're not maybe going to feel super comfortable sharing, and that's A-okay. That's why we're doing it like this. Okay, so from gag to giggles, you're going to make a list of a few things that have bothered you recently. Like what's been bothering you? It could be a life crisis. It could be a pet peeve. It could even be just a little frustration that's actually benign, but it makes you want to hurl, is what the book says. So maybe it's a person, place, a thing, whatever, but it's something that's just been bothering you lately. Like go ahead and write them down. Just let them flow. Get them out. Who's ticked you off? What's annoyed you? What's irking you? Like just get it on a piece of paper. Unload. You can be as specific as you would like. This one I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do. Because this is actually one that once I did it, I was like, I probably need to do this one like every week. What are things that bother you? Life crisis, which we've all, 2020 was not an easy year for anybody. So maybe something in 2020, pet peeves, or even just minor things that just are getting under your skin for some reason. We're going to write all that down. And Courtney, don't be writing down Jink's name just because he's behind you. I see his tail.
Yeah, and that's why I'm muted right now because my suitcase is in the floor and he's chewing on the wheel and Ruger's laying over here and he's trying to chew on Ruger. So yeah, his name is on here.
Okay, for the sake of time, obviously you can keep writing, but for the sake of time, you are going to cross that shit out. You're literally going to take a pen or pencil or whatever, and you're literally just going to cross all that shit off of your list. Everything that you just wrote down, just draw a big fat line through it. Yeah, oh, I love it. Dawn, this is all going to be recorded. You don't have to do this while you're driving. Please do not do this while you're driving. And I feel really bad. I don't know how old your son is, but I've been dropping some dirty words. So I apologize to your child. Oh my God. Our Zooms should come with a warning on Monday night. Okay. So either over top of everything you just wrote in a different color pen or just on top of it, even, oh, he's fine. Oh, he's 16. Okay, he probably knows words I don't know. You're now going to write over top of all of that stuff with something, the funniest thing that somebody has said lately, your favorite joke, something that when you think about it, it makes you belly laugh. You're going to write that in just big, bold letters, scribble it on top, use a different color if you want, but you're going to write all that on top of there. Like literally cover up all the stuff that's been driving you nuts. Like, so Sandra, for you, this would be something that you would have been like, blah, 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 I about peed my pants. That's the thing you want to write down, right? Like somebody said something, somebody did something, and I about peed my pants. That's what I could hear you saying in the moment. And like I said, I know I'm going through these 3 things fairly quickly just because, you know, Zoom's 30 minutes, but I want this to be like a thought starter for you. And clearly Olivia's already even pulled up on Amazon this particular journal and the other ones that you can get to go with it. But it's just such a fun way. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I like my devotionals and things like that, but they're very serious. And I know sometimes when I'm reading them, I think in the back of my head, yeah, Jesus, but what about so-and-so, right? So this one I love because this just calls me out, right? So I think it's fun to play around with your journal. Okay, so this one, I'm going to see if you guys can read it. Their emergency is not your emergency, okay? Okay, their emergency is not your emergency, okay? This is the section we're going to go into right now. And to the children listening, I apologize. Okay, not your effing problem. Ready? Being helpful and conscious of others are leading characteristics of people who are not assholes. But being a good person doesn't mean you have to panic, bend over backwards, or ruin your own day every time someone else's actions are having negative consequences for them. Don't let someone else's frenzy become your frenzy. Instead of cleaning up the mess, how can you take a step back and empower them to do it themselves? So I want you to think right now, because you're all, I'm sure you all have something in the last 7 to 10 days where someone has come to you and been like, oh my gosh, and they want to dump it on you and they want you to fix it and they want you to figure it out. And maybe you did. I want you to think about what could you have done instead to empower the person to fix the problem versus fixing it for them. Think how much extra time in your day you would have if you weren't fixing other people's problems. Okay? Somebody says leave. Get in the car and go, girl. Okay, I'm going to reread that again for you. Not your effing problem. Being helpful and conscious of others are leading characteristics of people who are not assholes. So basically that's the problem. Like, you know, people in this world who I admire them so much, they can just literally look at somebody and be like, no, you do it. It's your mess. You fix it up. I have trouble saying that to someone, right? So being a good person doesn't mean you have to panic, bend over backwards, or ruin your own day every time someone else's actions have negative consequences for them. Don't let someone's frenzy become your frenzy. Instead of cleaning up their mess, how can you take a step back and empower them to do it themselves? So for real, try to think of something that's happened this week where someone has been like, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or I'm late doing XYZ. And the thing, you've all had something happen probably in the last 7 to 10 days, if not in the last 7 to 10 minutes. How could you handle the situation where you can be compassionate about the fact that you understand what they're going through and you realize that they're in a frenzy? How could you then hand it back to them? What's an idea? And you guys can put this in the chat or just think about it yourselves. And you may be dealing with what I call a repeat offender. And this is definitely, if you're dealing with a repeat offender, then the more you practice the situation in your head and actually practice saying this to the person's face, the better you're going to be. The quicker it's going to come to your lips when they're looking at you in that panic. So, I mean, it could be something like a kid who's like going to be late for the school bus because yet again, they don't know where their shoes are. Right? Maybe they can have to wear mismatched shoes for the day. Right? Maybe they can start to learn to set their stuff out at night. Maybe it's a husband who they just do all the things. Mine's not here right now, so I can talk openly. Okay. If a flat out no plus a hard pause where they freak out, but you say chill as F to stick the landing, just won't work. If that just won't work, what are supportive ways you can respond or help without taking on their stress? So basically, the author is suggesting on that first one where it says, how can you take a step back and empower them? She's just saying, tell them no. Can you help me find my shoes? No. Can you help me pick up my prescription? No. I'm just trying to think of things. So if the flat out no, and then like them running around, realizing you're saying no, if you can hold your ground, if that still won't work, what are a supportive way that you can respond or help them without taking on their stress? Arden going to cheer picks in one shoe. Sonia's husband's told you can't talk out loud. Does this work for dogs? You know, that would be awesome. And I had bought, 2 new pair and she couldn't even find but one shoe. Oh. So there's a reason I picked, hopefully you can already figure this out. There's a reason I picked those 3 particular sections. I mean, this journal is fun from start to finish. You can see how it's worded, how she talks to you, just like she's your best friend sitting across the table being like, no, girl, we're going to be honest here. But the reason I picked those because I want you to remember that if you want to grow in business and in life, and clearly we keep saying business focused on here, you got to just be you. You got to trip and fall and it's okay. No one died. Everyone does it. It's okay to just put out there who you are, whether that's in social media or live on a stage when we're allowed back into rooms with other humans. Stop quitting on yourself because you're afraid you're going to look, I don't know, bad, weird, funny, whatever. Like, I love when people look bad, weird, and funny. Some of the people I follow, like I can think of them right now. Some of the people I would like so tonight when I go curl up in my bed and I get all cozy and I pull up Instagram to go through the stories of the people who I love, they look bad, they're funny, and they're awful. But I love them, and that's why I love them. That's why I follow them, right? They're just honest people. So I want you to think about that the next time you stop yourself. And then the gags to giggles where you're just having some stuff that's really bothering you and getting on your nerves and where you just like, whether you realize it or not, it wears you down. So even if at the end of every day or heck, the start of every day, if you have to just make a list really quickly of the stuff that's getting on your nerves and then cover it up with something funny, something happy, something that makes you giggle, something to remind you that the stuff that's getting on your nerves or the bad shit that's happened, there's also good to outweigh it. It's like when you're looking at that life crisis, I mean, thinking about maybe a loved one that you've lost, it's hard to scribble over that, but it is part of who you are now. And so with the bad comes the good. So you're still going to have all the great funny memories of the person that you lost, but you can't dwell on the negative. You got to focus on the positive. If you want to pull your pants up and get dressed for the day, there are some days that are going to be really hard for people to just get out of bed and get moving. And then there are some days where you're just so freaking annoyed. Like Sally Sue said so-and-so to such and such, and that just ticked you off, right? We have everything in that spectrum. So just remind yourself, write it all down, scribble it all out. But here's the thing that I see people do. Instead of taking the time to write down the stuff getting on their nerves, they're like, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'll get over it. Not a big deal. Not going to make a fuss about it. I'm better than this. I'm more of an adult. I'm going to get over it. No, you won't. Just write that shit down, right? Write it down. Be honest about how you feel. Be honest about what's hurting you or getting on your nerves. And then remind yourself that you can overcome all of that. But if you just keep burying it, it'll never go anywhere. I promise. And then obviously I wanted to end with the emergency is not your emergency, because you cannot, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about ranks and fears and what's holding people back. If you are worried about holding the load or whatever, taking care of all these people to get to your next rank, remember, their emergency is not your emergency. You're here to lead them, not save them. So I want you to think about that. And when you are getting maybe a repeat offender or even a newbie, yeah. Okay. So case in point, I'm going to share a story really quick because we have like 4 minutes, I think. And I hope no one knows this person. So we have a new tenant that's going to move into one of our apartments. And we found her at the end of December, but she couldn't She couldn't move in until February 1st. We were like, cool, no problem. She's a little older. She's actually a hospice nurse. Super nice, great, filled out everything, passed everything, right? Looked at the apartment, obviously, before she even filled out the paperwork. Threw the deposit down, threw the first month's rent even on top of the deposit, loves it. Everything about it is perfect. So she calls and she was like, do you guys have, there's like a garage, right? There's like a storage unit for me to store stuff. It's a 1-bedroom upstairs apartment, mind you. She walked up the steps to see it. So God love Tom. He's so much better at this than I am. He was like, no, there's no storage unit. There's nope. Didn't show you one. It's not in your lease. Nope. Oh, okay. A few days later, calls. So my outdoor furniture. Now, can I put that on the front porch? Nope. You're in an upstairs 1-bedroom apartment. You don't have a front porch. The front porch you look at belongs to a different, blah, blah, blah. No. So what else? So anyway, this went on and on for a month. And it became very clear after the third time. We were just like, oh my gosh, look, no matter what she says, you got to look her dead in the eye and you got to say no. Oh, I know. Because then she said, here was the one for me, guys. Ready for this? She said, do you know anybody that's willing to rescue a senior German Shepherd? I've been fostering one and he's so old. If we can't find him a home before I move in, they have to put him down. Nope. I don't know anybody. That is a repeat offender. She just moved in yesterday. She just got the keys yesterday, and I cannot even tell you the list of questions that she's asked to try to get stuff for free or get stuff that doesn't come with the apartment or use space that doesn't belong to her. And so if it wasn't for Tom telling her no, like I know I'm weak in those situations, and especially with the dog one, I'd have been like, oh my gosh. So that is a perfect example of, I could have been like, well, I guess we could move stuff in our garage and she could put some stuff in our garage. And I could be like, well, I guess you could put some stuff on the front porch, but our insurance won't cover it because it's commercial. Like I would have had this whole cluster of problems just because I would be like not wanting to say no. Where we have a lease, it's a hard copy legal document. She knows what she's getting and not getting. So I just have to learn to say no, right? So think of that next time somebody's asking you for something and you immediately feel like, oh my gosh, what can I do? How can I fix this for them? You can't and you shouldn't. The more you fix for someone else, the more they're just going to keep letting you fix it for them. That goes for your team. That goes for your uplines. If you have an upline that calls you all the time asking you for favors, no can do. A sideline that's begging you all the time to maybe make a graphic, or could you be on this interview with them and you were on the interview with them last week? No. Put your business first. This is business. Their emergency is not your emergency. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you guys liked it, I do think you guys would all love this journal. It's just really, like I said, that was 3 days worth of prompts that we went through. So you could easily go through a prompt a day, like within 5 minutes or so. And sometimes I'll even read the prompt and maybe not get to like sit down and do the whole thing, but it's already in my head. Like it's already in there. Like I already know about like what the question was. She has 8 others. Holy smokes. Well, I guess take your pick. Her name is Monica Sweeney, and it's super hilarious and dead on. So anyway, I will put this up for if you guys want to like revisit the questions and things like that, or you want to share it with your team if you have anybody on your team you think that needs it. And keep pushing for that double, triple. If you need anything, let us know. Bye.